So best practices on users administration. So we discussed about users, and then users will be added to the groups, and then for each group there will be some roles to add to perform the responsibilities. So now here the case is add users to the groups. Okay, add roles to the groups instead of adding roles to the users directly. Okay, because it is easy to manage. Hello, anybody has any questions? Right. So because it is easy to manage, so add roles to the groups instead of adding roles to the users directly, and add users to the groups. Okay, so we'll see that practically how this works. So let's take some groups. So take some groups. Say for example this group. So there are already 3 roles for this particular group. And what are the roles here? ITL, ITL admin, and impersonator. These are the 3 roles added. Now, observe carefully, take any of the user here. Click on this user. So verify whatever the roles that are present for the group, right? These 3 roles, right? So those 3 roles will be inherited to the group members. Whatever the roles present for the group, those roles will be inherited to the group members. So you can check that. So on this users, you have roles related list. Click on this role, add, check for the ITL role, whether it is present or not. So it is present. ITL is present, ITL underscore admin is also present. Check whether impersonator is present for this user. It is also present. So because these users are getting the roles from the groups. Now, what we'll do, I'll try to remove the impersonator role from this group. I removed the role from this group. So you see a info messages here, removing role impersonator for this user, likewise all the users, and also it is removing the role from the group. Okay, delete inherited role impersonator for the group. So now refresh, only 2 roles, right? So now refresh for this user whether impersonator is present or not. See here, it's not showing any record. Role name starts with impersonator, so it's not showing any records. So role got removed for the user. Now, for example, there are 5 users here, right? So tomorrow, this group requires some additional roles. This group requires some additional roles. Say, for example, some user underscore admin role to be added for this group. So instead of adding role directly to all these users separately, so here 5 members, okay. But in case if there are 100 group members, you need not go to each. You will not open each user record and then add the role directly. Very difficult. 100 users. So what you can do, directly add the role to this group. So user underscore admin. add it, right? Add the role, save. So now whenever you're adding a role to the group, all the group members will automatically inherit that role. So you can see user underscore admin role got added to this user, likewise all the users. So now you can verify this user. So refresh. So you see role is added to the user. Now tomorrow, for example, this group needs to be removed with some roles. So in the sense, like all the group members should be removed with that a role, maybe after a week. So what needs to be done? You need not go to each user, open each user record and then remove the role from the user account. Directly remove the role from this group. Say for example, ITL admin to be removed. Remove the role, saved. So it will be removed from all the users part of the group. So easy to manage when you add roles to the groups. Okay. And if you add roles to the users directly, it's very difficult to monitor. Okay. So this is the best practice followed, and you'll be following the same practice when you get into the project regards to the users, groups, and roles. Is this clear? So with this, we are good with the users administration. Let's go to the next topic. List forms and filters. So list forms and filters. So first we'll understand, so we already talked about tables. So tables store the records, right? So each and every record will have some data. So if you check for user records or group records, see each and every record here stores some data of the group. So this is the information about the group, and each information about a group stored on the fields. So these are all called fields. It's like a normal form where it is showing you the data in the form of fields. So here, this is a normal field. This is some reference field. This is some email address field. This is some currency field. Likewise, there are different fields present on this group record, and each field is storing the data. Getting it? So now we'll understand forms first, and then we'll go to the list. So form, how can we define basically form? So we'll take some diagram, we'll understand. Right. So we'll understand. So there is a relation between forms, records, and tables. So we'll understand the difference very clearly. So as we already know, table stores the records. Okay, table stores the records, and so user, so take some normal example. So you're trying to fill some application form, maybe online or offline. So take online application form. So what do? You generally open the form, right? Through some URL, you'll open the form. So say this is the form, application form. So generally, what does a form contain? It contains fields, right? So it contains fields like your personal details and your location details, address details, and then education details, right? And professional details if required. So all those details, all those fields will be present on the form. So you have to fill the data on those fields. So fields will be present in this way. So on the form, you'll see different fields here. And at last, you will see option called submit or save, right? Submit or save. Submit, save or update. So what do? You open the form, fill the details, and you click on submit. So on the form, you're adding the details on the fields. And then once you click on submit, so your data will be created as a record in the table. So whatever the details that you added on the form, the data will be stored in the table this way. So a record will be created in the table, say record 1, right? Record 1. So form is used to enter the data and create a record in the table. Getting it? So user is opening the form contains fields, and user will enter the data, clicks on submit, and then a record gets saved onto the database table. Likewise, many other users, they open this form, they fill the details, and they click on submit, the record gets created. So likewise, different records are stored on this table this way. Getting it? Now, for example, you created your you submitted your application, and tomorrow you want to edit your application, right? You want to edit your application. What you will do? Again, so you'll have your application ID, correct? Right? You have your application ID. Say your application ID is, for example, 1234, right? So in the record, you'll also on one of the fields, the application ID will be stored, right? Now tomorrow, what do? You want to edit your application. So what you will do? You will search in the database through some URL using your application ID. Then what you will get? You'll get your record back again on the form. Okay, you're searching with 1234 application ID. Again, the data will be retrieved back on the form. So on this form again, your information will be shown, all the details which you filled. So you modified some data on this field. Say you modified your phone number, right? You modified your phone number, and what do you do? Click on update or submit. Submit is for new records, update is for updating the existing records. So you clicked on update. So whenever you click on update, right? So again, this details will be sent to the database table. Whichever the record is matching with this application ID, that record will be updated. So record 1 is matching with 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So this updated data will be updated onto this record 1. So now on this record 1, you will have updated phone number added onto this record. So that means you're using form to send the data to the database, and also when you retrieve the data from database, this data is displayed again on the form. Getting it? So form is acting like an interface or intermediate medium for data submission and also the data retrieval between user and the database table. Right? So you can use form. So form will be the replica of the database. The how the fields are created on this particular table. The replica is shown on the form. Form is not an entry in the database table. It is just a replica of the table. So it's used as an interface basically. So understand the difference. Record is an entry in the database table. Form is not an entry. Form is used as an intermediate between the user and the database table. Is that clear? Is this clear, everybody? What do you mean by form? What do you mean by table? What do you mean by record? So record is an entry in the database table. Table stores all the records. Form contains fields where end users fills the data and submits the data onto the database. Clear, guys? Any questions? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, clear.
Right. So with this, we understood what I mean by form, record, and table. So now let's go to the forms. Any table form, okay? So we already understood about the user's table form, right? So let's go to the user records. So this is a user record, dummy test user record, and it has fields, right? So like your application form, this also has fields and it has update button. It has save, you can save the records, and there are few other options on this form. So there is an attachment icon here. Okay, this is called paperclip icon to add the attachments onto the record. So you can add the attachments. Click on this. You can choose the files. You can choose the files, right? Any file. Attachment is empty, it seems. So let's add other attachment. Right. So I can add attachments. So attachments will be added onto the records. And now I have other options here called, this is called form context menu. On left side, you see 3 lines. Click on that. You see there are some options here. These are called form context menu. You can also right click here as well, anywhere on the form header. So save, insert and state. These are all called form context menu options technically, right? So observe carefully. Not users table, we'll take some other table. Let's not create user records. Take some other table. So take this table. Right. So click on new. It has some fields. I'm filling the data. And one more thing. So form contains different types of fields here. Some could be read only, right? So these are all read only fields, and these are all mandatory fields. See here, red color asterisk symbol indicates that this is a mandatory field or required field. So we'll talk about that later. So this is also required field. Fill the data. Test ticket. Save. So I'm saving the details to create a record. So this is a record. Now on this record, you have form context menu options. Save is used to save the record. So I edit some details here, right? I edit some details on the field. I can either click on update, either I can click on save. So difference between update and save. Both are used to save the record, but save will keep you on the same screen. Save will keep you on the same screen. You will not be navigated to any other screen. Okay. Whereas, for example, I update something here. Click on update. So I'll be navigated to a previously viewed screen. Right. So that's the difference between save and update. Both are updating the records, but update button, clicking on update button will update the record, and then user will be navigated to the previously viewed screen, right? So previously we were in list view. So this is a list view. So to this screen I was navigated. So next, insert and string. So there are few ways to save or options to save or update the records. Options to save or update the records. So there are various ways you can save the record or create the record or update the record, right? So one is submit. All these uh, details are very important for certification. Okay, submit, update, save, insert, and step. Okay, submit. Submit is nothing but this is used to create the records. So this is used to, so this is a button basically. So when you click on new to create the record, you have a submit button here. Okay, submit is used to create the new records. Okay, submit is used to create the new records, or you can save the new records. And clicking on submit, observe what happens. Clicking on submit, record is getting saved. Record is getting saved, but user is navigated to the previously viewed screen. User is navigated to the previous. Just a second. Once again, open the tables list view. So click on new, fill the mandatory fields, click on submit. So this is 1090, number is 1090. Click on submit. So record gets created. So record is created and the user is navigated to the previously viewed screen. So submit and update redirection will be to the previously viewed screen. So this is used to create the new records, but user will be navigated to the previously viewed screen. Okay. Update. This is the button present on or existing records and it is used to save the records data, but user will be navigated to the previously viewed screen, right? Next, save. So where is the save? So update is present on the existing records. We have already seen this. Save, it is present again for new records as well as for existing records. For both the records, you can see the save. It is present on new as well as existing records, and it is used to save the records. Insert, it is used to create new records using existing records. Okay. User will be navigated to the previously viewed screen. So observe carefully here. So I have this existing record. So wherever you're seeing update button, right, it indicates that this is an existing record. Now using this existing record, I can create a new record. Using data on this existing record, I can create a new record. Observe carefully. So I did some details here. Test ticket created for testing insert option. Okay. Right. So now I select some other user here. You have option called insert. Okay. Insert is going to insert a new record with this data. Okay. So try it. Insert. So this was the last record, right? So this is a latest record created. You can open this record. So Pramod Kumar, and this is the short description. So using insert, you can create a new record. Okay. And user will be navigated to the previously viewed screen. So we see that navigation, right? So that's about the insert and stay. So it is used to create new records using existing records. User will not be, or user will be navigated to the same screen or current record. Okay. User will be navigated to the current record. Okay. In case of save as well, user will be navigated to the current record. Right. So try that. See here. So this is the current record, right? This is the current record. Now I'm changing the data, right? So I'm saying insert and stay. Right click, insert and stay. Click on this. See here, user will be navigated to the current record. So this is a record which got inserted. Right. So this was the record created. So user is navigated to the current record. User is staying on the same screen. So record created screen. Whereas in case of insert option, user will be navigated to the previously viewed screen. Are these options clear? So we'll be using these options in the upcoming scenarios. Any questions, guys? So these are the options related to the record: save, insert and stay, and configure. So we'll talk about this configure in the list. Okay, same options is available in the list as well, and all these options are present in the list as well. So if you want to write one more important topic, sys right? Up till now, is it clear? Any doubts? Come on, respond.
Yeah, no, sir.
Right. So next most important discussion is sys. Okay, sys. So you see here, every record you take. So this is a record you take, and here is a number. So number is unique for this record on this table. So you can identify this record using this number. Every record will have some unique number. Okay. So this table records. So this is a format of number generation, TTB 001092. So this is a number given for this record. And if you take other records on this table, if you take other records on this table, see here, other records, numbering started with TTB, but at the end, number changed. So every record, the numbering is changed. So that means every record will have some unique number. So this is for test table 2. So go to the incident table. Incident, click on all. See here, these are all the incident records, and on incident as well, there is number field. So it started with INC in all the records, and the number changed at the end. That means every record has some unique number. Using this number, you can identify a record. Okay, using this record. So generally, like for example, when you raise a complaint to your service provider, right? So you will get a ticket number. Okay, so the ticket number will be unique. Same ticket number will not be regenerated to any other issue, right? So likewise here also, for this record, this is a unique ticket number, right? Similarly, for all these unique records, so these are the unique numbers, ticket numbers generated. So every record will have some identifier. So in this case, number is the identifier here. In this incidents, this is the identifier. Now observe carefully. Go to the users table. Do you have any identifier? Do you have any identifier for the incident user records? We don't have number. You don't have number on the user records. So, but how do you identify user records? So generally in the organization, every user will be recognized with some ID called employee ID or associate ID or user ID, right? Or the email address. So they are the identifiers for the users. So user ID or the email address of the user. So they are the unique identifiers for the users. Similarly, every table record will have some unique identifier. Getting it? So depends upon what type of records you are working on. So number is not present on the users table. Likewise, similarly, groups as well. Go to groups. So go to groups, verify. There is no number here on the groups. So every group is identified using the group name. Getting it? So now we understood that every table records will have some identifier, but there is another identifier, okay, called sysID. There is another identifier for every record in every table. That identifier is called sysID. So number is present on this table, incident table, but number is not present on user table or groups table, right? So for record to record, table to table, identification is differing. So, but there is some common or unique identifier for all the records across all the tables. That's called sysID. So sysID is the unique identifier for any record on any table. Okay. SysID is the unique identifier for any record on any table. So SysID is a 32-bit in length. So if you want to get the SysID, so for every record you will see the SysID. So for group record, this is an identifier, right? Name. But apart from name, there is another identifier called SysID. So how do you get the SysID? Right click on this particular record, or you can open this record. Open this record. So this is a record, right? Right click on the form context menu. See SysID, copy SysID. Paste it here. So this is a SysID for this group record. So this is 32-bit in length. So every character you just count, it will be 32 in length. So it's a combination of numbers and then alphabets. Alphanumeric combination. Okay. Alphanumeric combination of data. So SysID is 32-bit in length. Very, very important. Most important. Every record will have SysID. Okay. Every record. So you take user record. So from here as well, I can get the SysID for the first record. Highlight, select the particular record, right click, copy SysID. So this is a SysID for the first record. Likewise, you can get the SysID for any record. And SysID is unique. Okay. So SysID generated once for a record. That SysID will not be duplicated to any other record. Okay. The SysID once generated for any record, the same SysID will not be duplicated for any other record. Duplicate SysID cannot be generated for any other record. For any other record. Getting it? So this will be unique for a given record. Whereas, for example, you see, I have a chance here. Fresh. So there is a chance that I can duplicate numbers. So this is 235, right? There is a chance that I can edit the number, but there is no chance to duplicate this SysID. See here, I've duplicated the number. Now you cannot identify which one is right record and which one is 234 record, right? Both seems to be 235 only. If somebody's customer is asking you, can you please update a comment on 235 record? Then you do not know which record because there are two records showing up here. So there will be such issues, right? For other identifiers, but sys IDs, they will be unique. So you cannot override the sys ID, cannot modify the sys ID, cannot duplicate the sys IDs. Clear? Most important. So sys ID will be generated by the system, will be generated by the system after the record is created. So once the record is created, sys ID will be generated. So for new records, there won't be sys ID. Okay, sys ID will be -1 for new records, but sys ID will be existing for existing records only. Sys ID will be generated only for the existing records. Verify. So click on new. See here, check the URL, sys ID. Here it is -1. Okay, so for new records, sys ID will be -1. Okay, indicating that there is no sys ID -1 means there is no sys ID generated for this because this is a new record. -1 indicates it doesn't have any sys ID. But check for the existing record. So this is a group record, right? You see sys ID and it has some sys ID here. So this is the sys ID. You can check it from the URL as well, right? So sys ID will be there only for the existing records, not for new records. Any doubts? Very, very important. So we'll be using this concept, sys ID concept, many times. Any questions?
Sir, what is the use of suicide, sir?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So
Okay.
in order to identify a given record, for example, through some script, you wanted to update this record. Okay. Through script, you wanted to update this record. So in this script, you'll be calling the sys ID of this record and then updating this record. Okay. So there are many such cases where we'll be using sys IDs. So we'll talk about them. We have many such discussions, upcoming discussions. We'll do that. So it's also used for identification of a record, like number or user ID. Any other doubts? Right. All right, guys. We'll wind up the session for today. We'll continue the discussion tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll start on lists and filters.
Sir, can you tell me about the role? Once again,
Which one?
can you repeat?
Which one?
Role.
Were you there in the last class? You know who is this? Shiva.
Yeah, I am there in class. But
So
today at starting, my internet is a little bit not proper, so that's why I'm unable to hear.
no, role in the sense like you need complete discussion or like what is
Oh,
your doubt?
today you'll discuss on something else.
Okay. So today we discussed about like the best practices. We did not discuss about roles specifically. We discussed about best practices that we follow in the users administration. So we have users, groups, and roles. So did you understand the roles topic last class?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? So role will give you privileges and permissions to access some objects, right, in the service now. Now, how all these three are related? Users, groups, and roles. So users will be the records in the users table. So once you create the users, you'll be adding users to the groups. Okay. And roles, you will not be giving roles to the users directly. Rather, you'll be adding roles to the groups. Do not give the roles directly to the users because it is difficult to manage. Rather, add the roles to the groups and then add the users to the groups so that all the group members of the group will inherit the roles added to the group. So now if the user is added to the group, that user will inherit or will get all the roles related to the group. And tomorrow, for example, he's leaving the group, right? He's moved to another project. So now roles also should be removed for that user. So what you can do, simply remove the user from the group so that all the roles added from the group to the user will automatically be removed. Okay, so that's the best way to manage the groups. So if you add any new roles to the group, automatically all the group members will inherit those newly added roles. Tomorrow you're deleting some roles from the group, right? So you do not require to remove roles from each user manually. Rather, simply remove the role from the group and those removed roles will automatically be removed from the all the group members of that group. Correct. So this is a short summary of the best practices that we discussed today. So you can also go through the recording, right? So you can get the clear understanding what we discussed today. So this is a short summary. So anything that you want to do with roles, do with the groups. Don't do with the users directly. Okay,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
right. Any other questions? Anybody? Right. So go through the recording and practice. If you haven't requested for a lab environment, please do raise a request.